Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I'm Jim McPhee, of course. Alongside me right there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show.
Yeah.
Listen, we are live and ready to go here. So make sure you
Yeah,
drop down in the
raise some
comments.
Jimmies.
Let us know that you're here. You have any questions, opinions, anything about what we're about to talk about, please feel free to do so in the comment section. And you could also help us further support our channel that is growing, but we're growing slowly. And we need you guys' help to speed up the process here. Head over to YouTube for us, hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up while you're there. Share it to all your family and friends that are all in on NFL football. And that's what we're here for. Listen, year round, we're here for you guys. We got the draft coming up, a lot of excitement going around the draft, a lot of rumors flying around about all different teams. And on top of it all, you know, we got a couple of signings that transpired today that we're going to talk about. We're dropping my top 10 wide receivers for the upcoming draft. That's going to be kind of groundbreaking in a sense cuz Jim, I got to tell you, I struggled with this one big time. I thought linebackers was bad, but wide receivers, a lot of talent, and it made it very difficult to try to separate and rank them. But I tried to do my best there. And then the exciting part of all that is we'll get to see how it all pans out in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. It's coming. It's like one of those things. It's like, oh, it's down the ways a little bit. We got time to do all this. And then, and now it's coming real quick. And you're like, oh, no, I got to hurry up and do this. It's like Christmas time. You're like, yeah, I got time to do the shop. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, it's almost Christmas Eve right there. I got to get down to it. So I want to apologize to everybody right now. My voice is kind of jacked up, whatever, but hey, it's better than what it was the last couple of days.
I
So
can
couldn't
atone
talk.
for that one. It's definitely a lot better than it was last night. So Jimmy could barely even utter a word last night. At least now he can form sentences. They're working their way up.
That's right. I'm less belligerent here. So all right, Joe. I guess we'll just get like right down into it. Let's get into your top 10 here list. This week we're gonna do his wide receivers here. You know, the first couple of weeks we did linebackers and offensive linemen and stuff. So here we go, getting into some more offense here as the time ticks down and we're running out of time. So let us let us know in the comments, guys, what you guys think about Joe's list. Here we go. We're going to run down through them. Joe's top 2025 NFL draft top 10. Here we go. On wide receivers, Joe, what we got?
Okay, number 10 might shock some people. Some people might not even know this guy's name, but Shamir DK. That's right. I didn't stutter. That's an actual wide receiver in this draft from Florida. This guy's 6'1", 196. Got some decent size arms, good size hands for as a wide receiver. And let me tell you, this guy is just an absolute difference maker. He was great for the Florida Gators. He has polished wide receiver traits, meaning everything he does from a wide receiver aspect, he's solid in every category. He has speed. He runs a 4.4 40. He's got great hands. He can catch everything. He can make difficult catches. He can make the simple ones. He has great route running skills. And something that kind of goes overlooked a little bit for DK is his blocking ability down the field, blocking for running backs on the off the edge. So Shamir DK, keep an ear out for that name to be called in the draft earlier than you might expect. Number 9, I have Luther Burden III. Why is he so low? Well, there's a couple of things. Luther Burden III, coming from Missouri, 6'2", 206. He's got some decent sized arms. His hands are kind of like average for a lot of these receivers coming into this draft. They all have decent size hands, decent size length arms. There's a couple that are shorter, but Luther Burden, he in his 2023 tape was seen as the number 1 wide receiver prospect coming out. and it wasn't even close. Now you fast forward it this year, he had a down year. Part of that could be because of the quarterback, a little inconsistent in that position. So, and a lot of times in the offense he was in, they just used him heavily on screens and quick outs, just getting the ball in his hands and letting him run after the catch after that. I still think he's a very good wide receiver. I would not be surprised if a team falls in love with him and picks him higher than some of these other wide receivers I have on my list. But again, dip in production and the fact that he's coming off injuries, wasn't in the lineup as often as you'd like. So I have him dipped down a little bit, but he's still going to be a really good receiver at the next level. Number 8, I got Amika Ibuka from Ohio State, 6'1", 205. Again, this guy he doesn't blow you away with like creating enormous space from the defenders, but what he is he's just a very for his size, he's just very fluid. He's got great route running ability. He's a solid blocker too. He's another guy. It's one of these traits that kind of get overlooked with wide receivers, but it does play a huge part at the next level. And just very versatile. Like this guy can line up anywhere on the football field. He can line up in the slot, he can line up in X position, Y position, you name it, he's all over the place. So that's going to be a trait that I think a lot of teams are going to love. A guy that can do it all, a guy that can play any given wide receiver position. So Emeka Buka I see him as a very solid wide receiver, but not as a high end. So I could see him like maybe in the beginning of the second round, low first round kind of where he might fall. Number 7, I got Trey Harris. Trey Harris from Ole Miss, 6'2", 205, a big dude, big wide receiver. Um, Very smooth when he runs, has excellent body control. He's underrated in his route running ability too. Like you don't picture a bigger receiver like that to be able to cut and come at a breaks quickly, but Trey Harris does that. And it's kind of like a lazy comp, but and yeah, it's from Ole Miss, so you think about AJ Brown ish type of a wide receiver, a guy that has that big body, who can run the routes, who's got strong hands, will go up and test for those footballs. And when he has the ball in his hand, on tape, he pulls away from defenders. So I despite his slow or they consider it slow 40 time of 4.5, I think he runs faster than what he shows in the Olympics, the pajama Olympics that is the scouting combine. So I think Trey Harris is faster than what he timed, and that's why I have him at 7. Number 6, I got another big, tall receiver in Jaden Higgins from Iowa State, 6'4", 214. He's got long arms, 33-inch arms. He's got, 9 and an eighth hands. He's just so dynamic. For at Iowa State, what he was able to do at that size of being very tall at 6'4", his body control is phenomenal. His speed, his top end speed is something that I didn't anticipate when I was watching him. But man, can he step on the gas and take off. And with his size, he utilizes it very well. Very athletic. He makes some acrobatic catches on tape, and it kind of like was like, oh, all right, let's see what we're doing here. Um, and Iowa State also had another wide receiver that we'll talk about in a moment that was also kind of like flashed on the highlight reel. But Jaden Higgins, enormous size. It's hard to overlook guys like that, guys that have that height, guys that have everything else along with it: route running, speed, catching ability, huge wingspan. Jaden Higgins is at 6 for me. And at number 5, I have Matthew Golden from Texas, 5'11", 191. Um, he is one of the absolute speed demons in this draft class. And I realized he blew everybody away at the combine, and he ran a 4.29 40, super elite speed. However, when I watched him, I was a little disappointed, actually. He does run good routes. He has that speed, which kinda, which everybody loves to have. But one negative is that he lacks movement to me. Now, unlike his counterpart Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden just doesn't have that shimmy or shake. He doesn't have the juke moves to go along with his speed, and I find it odd for a guy with his speed, with his athleticism, to not be able to make people miss, in the open field, maybe break some ankles along the way. I didn't see that on tape. He won a lot with speed, and I wonder if he's leaning too much on that factor of him just being able to run by people. At the next level, he's not going to be able to do that too often. So that's why Matthew Golden for me is at 5. Number 4, talked about his counterpart earlier, Jalen Knoll from Iowa State, a guy who isn't the tallest guy. He's 5'10", but 194, built very well, kind of like chiseled statue that you might see. But man, this guy, even though he has shorter arms, has smaller hands than you would like, very explosive, very electric after the catch. Quick change of direction. Top end speed is really, really nice. He's got speed to burn. And this guy runs phenomenal routes, makes difficult catches, and then obviously if you hit him on the run, he could take it all the way. A lot of people view him as a slot receiver, but I'll tell you, I think this guy can do everything well. So, uh, Jalen Noel is a name to keep an eye on because as we get closer to the draft, I fully expect him to kind of start climbing the charts at that position. He's at number 4 for me. And then we get to the top 3. Tetaroa McMillan is at 3 for me. Some people consensus have him 1 or 2. I got him at 3. Um, Giant wide receiver, 6'5", 219, very well built, huge hands, 10-inch hands. The thing about Tedero McMillan for me is I thought when I initially watched him, I really did think that he wasn't all that. Some of the tape that I watched, I was like, he's not that quick at a break. He has a hard time getting separation. But then as I watched more and more film on him, started to notice like he was just getting started. Tedero McMillan with that size, he utilizes it extremely well against smaller defensive backs. His hands are second to none in this class. I mean, the guy literally makes it a common thing when he catches a ball one-handed. It's like nothing to him. The ball literally is like a magnet, just sticks to his hand whenever the ball's thrown up. Makes a ton of contested catches. Obviously, from the size, you can already picture that him going up and grabbing it out of the sky. But he's he also plays faster than he was timed. Now, at his pro day, he ran a 4.55, or at least that was what's reported. Some people said 4.48. But when you watch him on tape, man, oh man, does he pull away from defenders? Like it's, that's why I think the whole timed thing is a myth. I think this guy's faster than his timed, at the 40, and I'm excited to see what he can do at the next level. Also, has very underrated route running that I found. At first, I was critical, and then the more tape I watched, I was like, "All right, Tet McMillan could be a steal for somebody in this draft." I'm just not sure where he's going to fall because this upcoming draft is so unpredictable. Number 2, I have a little bit of a shocker. Kyle Williams from Washington State. Guy who's 5'11", 190, not the tallest guy, you know, not the guy with the longest arms at 30 inches or the hands at 8 3/4, basically 9 inches. But I gotta say, he had the most explosive tape that when you watched it, his athleticism jumps off the page. He's a highlight waiting to happen when they get the ball in his hands. He has tremendous acceleration and burst, and it shows. Like, it's almost like he's shot out of a cannon after he catches that ball. He's always looking to first guy very rarely gets his hands on him. He makes people miss. He can juke you out of your shoes and just take off for 6. He's quick like lightning. has phenomenal. He's like almost like a route running savant. I mean, he's that good, and he's not highly rated just yet. But I just have some kind of a feeling about this kid that as he gets more noticed, as people do more homework on him, that he's going to be picked earlier than people anticipate as well. Very electric. I view him more like a kind of like a Stephon Diggs type of wide receiver, and definitely think he could do the job at the next level, take the roof off the defense, become that big time playmaker. And then at number one, I have Travis Hunter. I know, not really much of a shocker, but Travis Hunter is definitely the best wide receiver. Like we all know he can play dual, he can play corner, he can play wide receiver, but I gotta tell you, he's the number one wide receiver coming in this draft where I definitely think that we're gonna see his name called in the top 5, hands down. I think he's too good of a talent. Now, whether you view him as just a receiver or just a corner or a combination of the 2, he's a special player. 6 foot 188 isn't the biggest in terms of size, but man, I'll tell you what right now, that guy, you'll be lucky to get a hand on him when he gets the ball in space. Guy's super explosive. He's a freak at wide receiver in my mind. He's got alien-like traits, and what I mean by that is it's just like it's uncanny what he can do currently in college in this past season in college, but going into the next level, if he is just a wide receiver and can really hone in on the skills of just playing one side of the ball, we've seen how electric he is in college. He can get even better, and it might not sound, um, sexy, but I gotta say that this guy has untapped potential still. Like, even though we view him as the best athlete coming out, the best wide receiver slash best corner, whatever you wanna word it as, but, I really think that this guy, we don't know what his speed is yet. I'm curious to see what his time comes in. That'll give us a better idea of just how fast he is. But when you watch him on tape, he just pulls away from everybody, so I know he's gonna be fast. Has great hands, and what's also interesting about Travis Hunter is that he can literally contort his body last second to make a difficult catch or to adjust to the football, whether it be underthrown or thrown out of his range. Somehow, some way, this dude comes down with the ball every time. So, Travis Hunter is my number 1, and that is my top 10, Jim.
All right, there you go, Joe. That's right, Joe, bringing his top 10, bringing a fire like he does every single week here for us. Again, I see more people joining with us. We appreciate you guys out there. Sorry for my voice right now, but I'm here. We had some comments during that, but I didn't want to
No, you're
interrupt
okay.
there on Joe, so we're going to react to some of this on this one. So our man Mike Tackett
Mr. Mike
is in the
Tackett.
house with us. So here you go. He's got a few different things here. Joe, go ahead and
Said,
read them
there's
off.
a
I don't want
difference
to wreck my
between the
voice.
underwear Olympics and on-field speed. Absolutely. The combine may help find a gem, but it doesn't overrule game tape on big time prospects. Mike, that is absolutely correct. I couldn't agree with you more. And that's why, like, some of the tape that I've watched on some of these receivers that might have questionable times or at their pro day or at the combine, I'm watching it. I'm like, dude, this Tedero McMillan, he had question marks. Is he fast? Is he average? But when I watch the tape, he's pulling away from players, and they're not guys his size. These are shorter guys with speed as defensive backs trying to chase him down, and they just can't get him. So
Mhm,
that's why I really think that he's much faster than what his time shows.
mhm. Yeah, he's got another one
Said
here.
John Ross was a burner slash bust. Xavier Worthy was a burner, also a bust. Um, John Ross, I'll say, yeah,
I think that's to be
definitely a
yeah, I was
bust.
gonna say,
Worthy
uh,
is, I
yeah,
still feel like he's up
I
for
think it's
debate
to
still.
yet to be determined.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's too early for
I
that.
think that, yes, you're right. Like, Worthy is not a guy that so far can just stay out on the football field full time and be a difference maker no matter
Mhm,
what situation
mhm,
he's put in. That's why you see Andy
mhm,
Reid creating plays for him in space. getting him the ball on screens or handing it off to him on sweeps and all that. But sometimes you can't teach speed, so you know that coaches sometimes get enamored with that trait and like, oh well, he's the fastest guy. Like, think of what possibilities of what we could do with him, and that's why some of these guys tend to go earlier than maybe they should. So we'll see how this year uh, people view Matthew Golden because he's seen as one of those fastest guys coming out and a high end wide receiver. But I don't know, man. Something's When I watched him, it's like his counterpart, actually, Isaiah Bond, was more impressive to me on tape than Matthew Golden. Even though Golden's the faster one, or at least that's what they're saying, Isaiah Bond looked much more impressive, much more shiftier with the ball in his hands. Also looked like he had better burst. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's all right. So, we're gonna have a few topics here with you guys tonight. We're gonna throw this out there though right away. Rule changes are out there. Let us know what you guys think in the comments too. We know about it. We talked about it last night on the Blindside Blitz a little bit, but if you guys want to chime in on that, let us know what you think about some of the new and updated ones that went through. So there's a lot of crazy ones that coming along here. This next upcoming season, including the dynamic kick becoming permanent in the
Yeah,
NFL with some
not a
changes.
fan of it.
So how about that?
Not a
Yeah,
fan of
no,
that
me
at all.
neither. But let us know what you guys think out there. You guys know what we
Yes,
think. But
definitely.
Joe, I figured this because it just happened, within hours or
Mhm.
so. This is a good topic I think to talk about here, especially because it includes your Raiders and Geno Smith. Look at that, Geno Money Smith. He got a new deal and extension with the Raiders now. It's a 2-year extension here. It could be up to worth 85.5 million, and there's 66 million 66.5 million guaranteed for him. Joe, what do you think about this here? They're going to bring him in there, keep him until, the contract's up until 2027. So until there, he's a Raider. How do you feel about that? Especially with he was just due to make what 6 or 15 million this year, I think.
He was due no, he's due to make 31. Um,
Was he?
he had
Okay.
31 million. He had 15 or 16 million on the books if
Oh,
they
that's what.
got an extension done before a certain date. That number, they didn't get it done. So that number jumped up to
Mm-hmm.
31 million for this year.
31.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so he's getting paid 31 million for this year, and the next couple of years it's going to be around 37.5 million on average per year, up to 40 million. So like his 2-year extension is worth basically 75 million. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Currently he's going to make that 31. So it ended up becoming a 3-year, $106 million deal. He has an upside in this contract. It's incentive based. So
Mm-hmm.
with that 75 million, that's what his baseline is. But he could make upwards to 10.5 million more, making it
Mm-hmm.
116.5. If he is to reach the maximum earnings and all the incentives. So his new money average right now is 37.5 million per year. Um, and honestly, I'm surprised. And I say this because usually everyone's going by the market. Everybody is saying, well, the market dictates this to get a contract to a quarterback, a starting quarterback anyway. So you're going to be paying 50, 55, and maybe 60 million for really good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. That's where it's going
the
right now.
Raiders stuck to their guns. They didn't bow down to Geno Smith's agent, and they worked something out to where it favors both. So Geno Smith gets his guaranteed money, which is what he was really hoping for with 66 million, and both sides are happy. They lock him in for 2 more years, and that total of the 3 years he's going to be there. He will be, I think, 35, 36. He'll be either be 36 or 37 years
Yeah.
old at the end of the contract if he goes the full length. And by
Mm-hmm.
then, you would hope that the Raiders found a future quarterback. So,
Yeah, currently he's 35 years old.
right, that's for this
So,
year. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I mean, I get where you're coming from too, especially now with the way contracts are. you got your top tier guys, like you said. Now it's like, averaging 60 million a year, which is crazy too. I mean, who would have thought that we just jumped like this, just like that, in so many, just a few years
Yeah.
here to that for quarterbacks and stuff now too. So if you look at his contract now to where he is, he's averaging Derek Carr money right now and more than Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. But after that, again, that's the drop off. You got guys that are just finding spots to start, unless you're a rookie on a rookie deal. So that makes sense, I guess, because when I first saw it initially too, like the numbers kind of like hit me in the face. I'm like, no way for Geno Smith. Like, come on, man. Like, because I mean, it's amazing for me that the way he started out with the Jets, and now where his career is, that he's had a 12-year career, I think is amazing, because it just really got resurrected there in Seattle with Pete Carroll, and now I think that's why it was for him the best move to be going to the Raiders here, to extend that career. And why not be playing the best year if that's who you played under, because you did kind of see a downtick a little bit with him last year, when Pete Carroll wasn't there. I don't know if it's a factor or not,
Oh, I mean
but
that
just me and him together, I mean, might just be the key to
much of that
the secret ingredient to the
much of that
sauce.
production in Seattle or fall off is definitely because the offensive line was banged up. No protection was there. And there because of that, the running game could never get started. You know, so I think that now that he's with the Raiders, I think the Raiders have a better offensive line than Seattle, hands down. And they're going to continue to build on that for this upcoming draft to kind of really shore it up to help him and whoever they draft at running back. Because that's another thing that's gonna help Geno Smith that is getting a much better running back to stand behind him and take that pressure off of him as well, like just like Seattle used to do with Marshawn Lynch. So, uh, I like the deal. I actually love the deal, to be honest, because I
Mhm.
definitely expected us to be paying him because he's that starting quarterback to give him the market share. We're gonna pay around 50 million a year, and I would have been like, "Oh my god, this is crazy. I can't believe we did it." But to my surprise, they kept it team friendly, but also giving some more guaranteed money to Gino, which is what he was really looking for, some job security. So
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
got themselves a starting quarterback for at least the next 3 seasons, and we'll see what they do for their future. Maybe this draft or the draft in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sets him up to do something, add some more weapons to him too, and not really have a quarterback question, at least for the most
You're
recent
seeing
years
that a
here.
lot, Jim. You're seeing that a lot of these teams on how they view the draft for this upcoming quarterback class, a lot of them
Right.
don't wanna
Yeah.
take any of these quarterbacks early. We all know that Cam Ward is kind of like the golden child of this class, and they're saying, "Well, if you're gonna
Yeah.
take one, you take Cam Ward." But everybody else
Yeah.
below him, it's a little bit of a risk depending on where you're picking. Like, you're seeing the teams that are quarterback needy, like the Giants, like the Raiders, like the Jets getting Justin Fields. They're alleviating that pressure of having to take quarterback early by getting some of these either veterans or free agent signings to now they can refocus and say, "Hey, okay, what's the best player available?" And that's what we're going to end up taking because we have a lot of needs, but let's just take BPA in this draft and further upgrade our roster.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've been talking about for a while now too, is especially um with the way last year when we talked about, hey, look at the upcoming free agents in this offseason that are going to be out there and stuff like that. This free agency is going to get kind of
Mhm.
crazy, especially for quarterbacks, and the depth basically of that free agent pool. And still, if you look at the free agents that are still even out there, if you look at even Joe Flacco at this point, who was on the couch, came in and performed
Very
for
well.
the Browns,
Yeah.
did well, and even at times, for the
Yep.
Colts, last year, still serviceable, still a veteran that could help out any team at any
Yeah.
point, even right
You know
now.
what's funny?
Uh,
You bring up Joe Flacco.
yeah, mhm.
What if Rodgers, because Rodgers is still figuring things out, What if he doesn't come back to?
Mhm.
What if he sits out or retires? Pittsburgh now having to be forced to now like maybe sign a veteran free agent and draft a quarterback. Maybe Joe Flacco gets another opportunity in Pittsburgh though.
Mhm.
It's something that at least you got a guy that's been there, done that, has been to the playoffs. Could give you enough to keep you competitive anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty. Like I said, it's out there, and that's the thing with what you're getting at Geno Smith at least right now. Like you said, you got a starter, you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
it. And that's what teams are doing. You saw it; they're locking in these guys, and now is the benefit of having the free agents that we have out there. Um, all right. So also news that broke also too, just yesterday or so. Joe Milton traded to the Cowboys now. Joe. They've done something similar to this, like when they went and got Trey Lance too. Yeah, as a backup, but hey, it's higher ceiling, maybe low risk, high reward,
Right.
possibly to see what the hell we get. I mean, because again, yeah, they get a 7th round pick out of, and they gave away a compensatory pick, which what I mean, 5th round, whatever, what I mean. And we've stated our opinions about the compensatory picks here. But Joe Milton again, big arm. We've seen that he performed a little bit last year. We got to see him, for the Patriots a little bit. So he got to put some of his skills on tape here. And like I said, the Cowboys had no backup plan. The
No.
Cowboys, we talked about that earlier on a couple of weeks ago, that they moved on from Cooper Rush. They moved on from Trey Lance even too. So obviously he wasn't the guy, even though they grabbed him to see what happened. So they have nobody behind Dak Prescott. People are even talking about, oh man, they're gonna be trading Dak Prescott. You know what I mean? All that stuff out there. I'm like, well, if they do that, then who do they have? Even because they literally have nobody there as a backup. So Joe Milton, it could be potentially a good spot for him because Dak Prescott, let's be Frank here too. He gets injured a lot too. You know what I mean? So this guy would probably get a chance to see the field, to see what he can do. But I'm sure even some of the Cowboys players, especially CeeDee Lamb out there and stuff, we want to be contenders still in this and this. This is one of the moves you make again too. Like, all right, we're bringing an extra quarterback in, Joe Milton. Okay, bro, thanks. You guys are really working hard for us
I
here.
would
But
have
but what do you
I would
think,
have
Joe?
rathered the Cowboys take Jalen Milrow in the
Mhm.
3rd round than
Right.
do this trade because for a lot of Cowboy fans, this is kind of like it's for some that don't know him really well. They'll be excited because, oh, well, he had that one game where he went 20 of 29 and, you know, really lit, the Patriots offense on fire and ran for a touchdown. And man, that cannon for an arm is hard to deny. I get all that, but there's a reason why Joe Milton wasn't drafted high. There's a reason why a lot of teams passed on him round after round because even though he has the size, he has tremendous athletic ability, he has that cannon for an arm. He isn't the most accurate quarterback though. He struggles to fit it into tight windows. He can't anticipate, which is a critical must at the NFL level. So this might be another rehash of Trey Lance, kind of like a Trey Lance move where they're going to bring Joe Milton in, like you mentioned, and they're going to work with them, develop him. But they spent so much time on Trey Lance, and now he's just not there anymore. So
Mhm.
what are we doing, Dallas? You should just draft your own guy. Stop picking off of other people's rosters and hoping for it to be a brilliant move that turns out to be, oh, well, he's a franchise quarterback and now he's going to take us to the promised land. I think it's a little absurd. I know he has talent. Granted, he does. And there was several teams interested in him, by the way. There was at least 7 or 8 teams that were all in the trade talks, trying to gauge what they have to give up for him and whatnot. But now that he's a Dallas Cowboy, you're going to be sitting behind Dak. I don't know for how long because that amount of money they're paying him is ridiculous. He's the one that's
Mhm.
making 60 million on average per year, the
Yeah.
most out of anybody
Mhm.
in the league.
Yep.
And when is it going to actually be Joe Milton's time? You know, like, is it going to be
Right.
2 years later? Is it, or will it never happen because once again they give up compensation to bring in a guy who has never proven to be the all-around quarterback that you need him to be at this level. I get it's exciting, cool, but we've seen
Mhm.
this happen with the Cowboys before, and it just never works. So
Like, Cowboys get excited about any little
I
extra move
guess
that they do,
Cowboys
right?
fans
You
think
know what I
going
mean?
to the
Like, "Ooh, look
playoffs
what we
is
have."
winning everything again.
I remember when they get Randall Cobb, I think it was,
Yeah,
and everybody was like, "Oh, we got
yeah,
Randall Cobb. We're going to the Super Bowl."
right, right.
Uh, um, and that's the thing that I think that's the Cowboys' problem here. You got a a a GM or even owner or whatever, you got an
Mhm,
owner too that it doesn't wanna pay the guys really, it's holding out forever, kinda cheap in a sense, like, "Yeah, I don't know, nickel and diamond the guy or whatever." Um, and then eventually will cave in, and then now with this, I mean, you have Dak Prescott. Now, where the position that you're in, you've got guys griping, you've got guys leaving, you've got, you know, um, people saying again, "Hey, I needed to get out of Dallas. We weren't going to win a Super
mhm,
Bowl there." And meanwhile, again, your star quarterback isn't trying to restructure, trying to do something to loosen up the belt a little bit to try and get a winning team together and try to help. And that's where you have issues. That's why you can't win because you have guys that like this that are selfish in what they're going to get and they want to get me some me. And then that's too bad. And like I said, on the other hand, you have an owner where you had Cooper Rush in there, right?
mhm.
I read a story about this. Cooper Rush started almost half the games like last season because Dak Prescott got injured. He got put in. He was winning still. He was doing okay. They didn't skip a beat, in a sense, and even the season previously. Cooper Rush was a decent quarterback for the Cowboys. This past season, there was something in his contract that if he played 55.5% or
Mhm,
something like that of the snaps, he was going to get a $300,000 or 500,000
mhm.
bonus. That's why he got benched that one game and they put Trey Lance in. So he would not get the
There's always a
bonus.
reason.
Like, are you kidding me
Yep.
right now? And that's why he's not there. He's like, peace, I'm going
Yeah.
somewhere else, whatever. And that's the problem with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and those guys. They get cheapo with some of the guys and the way they want to be, and they still want to be them boys and the Cowboys and this and that. But you try and play cheap with guys and mess around with the contracts, and then you put all your chips in one basket here, and you're left holding. You know
Right.
what I mean? So, Joe, yeah, I mean, let's get into it here too. Let us guys, let us know, you guys, in the comments too, what you guys think about the new rule changes too coming up here. It's gonna be part of the conversation here. So, Joe Milton to the Cowboys, it could be something for him. It's probably not anything crazy, but we'll see because I mean, again, I think Dak Prescott will get injured again this season, and you want to talk about some contracts that potentially could be busts, you know what I mean? This and this or whatever. Deshaun Watson obviously is the best one out
Ah,
there. You
that's
know what I
too
mean? You're like, wow.
easy. That's
But
too easy.
but I
Come on.
know I get that, but Dak Prescott at this point has to be up there. You know what I mean? For where
I
he was drafted, it
uh
was a nice fit and it did kind of take over for you know, um Tony Romo, but since he got the deal again, he can't stay healthy. And again, it's not the fault of the player,
no.
but
Could be the fault
when
of the
you sign the
Cowboys.
big, you sign the contract, and there you go. You know what I mean? If you were paying you, but you're not playing, so it's a bad deal.
It's a bad deal because the Cowboys paid him way too much. Um, but
Mhm,
that's on the team, honestly. If you were that
mhm.
desperate to try to keep him by all, well, we got to figure out a way. We got to pay him more money then. Well, you're not doing your homework and thinking about okay, all the other free agents and all the other new contracts that you're going to have to lock down. Micah Parsons is now up for debate. I have no I have no doubt in my mind that Micah Parsons will get done, but it's going to be very difficult to navigate it and to make him the highest paid pass rusher because that's what's going to happen. But still, you're going to have to find out a way. Like maybe you have to restructure Dak Prescott. Maybe you have to trim the fat, to try to get back into into the good graces of the salary cap. And Prescott, I don't think is a bust. He was a 4th round pick. Not a lot was expected of him when he got drafted. And for him to have the success that he did with the Dallas Cowboys is tremendous. And yes,
Right.
recently he's been banged up, of course, but I don't think that's a reason.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, well, I don't think like calling him a bust. I was just thinking like bad deals,
That's
kind
on the
of in a
Cowboys
sense. But
then.
I
That's
don't
not
know
on
if you
Dak.
still think or not. Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that that's on
so
Dak. I'm just saying it's on the Cowboys.
I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. I listen, Jim.
Yeah, I do too.
We're not Cowboys fans. However, I was very critical. I will be honest. I was very, very critical about Dak Prescott and his capability to be the starter for the Cowboys early on. We saw that
Mhm.
one
I agree.
atrocious year where he had more interceptions than touchdowns, and things weren't looking
Mhm.
too good. And then when Mike McCarthy gets there, he's like a different quarterback. And now he's efficient. He's, you know, killing it in terms of passing yards and completion percentage and touchdowns to interception ratio. He was doing great. And now he did so well for himself that he got that big contract, but now the Cowboys they're hurting financially because of it. And I'm not really sure how this is all going to end because it seems like the Cowboys want to move on from Dak, but with the deal that they gave him, it makes it extremely difficult to get out
It
from
makes
underneath
it
it
difficult.
and move on. But you got to have a plan. And they're
Mhm.
hoping that this Joe Milton trade, like they did with Trey Lance, they're hoping that this time it pans out where he can be the future. We'll see. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see. We've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, we have Joe, and there's a lot of different things that happen still before the draft and the night of
You
the
see,
draft, which is coming up upon us
by the
quickly.
way,
So
there was another big
yeah,
time signing today. Uh, Trey McBride is now the
yeah.
highest paid tight end in the league, um,
Mhm.
based off of 1 year though. I don't know how
Mhm.
you feel about this, but I get locking him in. I get all that, but he had 1 year of immense production,
Mhm.
and you got to wonder, like, is he a 1 year
Mhm.
trick pony? Or is this gonna be a thing that we're gonna see for years to come, where he's gonna be considered one of the best in the league?
Right.
So
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, it was you said it. I think he had a stupendous year, and who knows? It looks like he could be a focal point again. He seems like
oh,
he's a
100%,
favorite
yeah,
of Kyler Murray. So again, I think like you said, they just want to lock him up early. Then they'll be able to have him kind of as you go down further, on the cheap for a while, to an extent.
well,
So
it's not that cheap
and they want to
anymore.
hit it while no, I know, not anymore, but I'm just saying because again, if your son he has back-to-back seasons and this
Right,
and this, then I mean he's already highest paid
yeah,
now, but if somebody end up getting another
correct,
extension somewhere along the lines, that's it. So I mean I get it. I don't really have an issue with it because again it's your guy, but and like I said, once you have to go get like say Marvin Harrison Jr., he all of a sudden takes off with that offense too as well.
right,
You're gonna be happy that you took care of Trey McBride
mhm,
now, before you get to Marvin Harrison's
right on.
contract. So absolutely, Joe. So let's go to the rule changes a little bit here too. Let's throw that out there because even though it was on the blindside blitz last night, I didn't really get to talk about it. I can barely talk as it is. So right now, but I get to talk about it a little bit. It was so hard to I could sit there and listen to you guys talk and just say this, and I can't really say anything. So I'm trying to throw something in the chat and stuff like
Mhm.
that, see what I can do. But I'll let you kind of go through this here, or actually, I could just bring up some of that highlights that I think is interesting. And you posted something even on our Facebook page or our group, about the Hawkeye cam, with Sony and stuff, and that's just technology now that they approve, which I'm glad they did with spotting the ball, and getting the call right. And this is
Right.
what I'm glad about them is actually they're trying to do some of that. It seems like right now, and getting the accuracy down, and also and that point moving into another one would be um the enhanced replay too as well, and calling on the office in New York to change some plays
Yeah, but
here if it's a bad call or clear
that is
obvious. So.
only to pick up flags. That is
Mm,
not something
mm,
that they might have missed. That's not something to correct them. It's just to pick up
mm.
a penalty that they've thrown, and it's certain ones.
Yeah,
It's not just anything.
yeah.
So if you're only going to utilize the replay assist for 4 different things, or
Mm,
only to pick up flags and not to say, "Hey, we missed a pass interference call. We should probably, hey, that was pass interference. We got to throw that flag." They're not using it for that. They're only using it one way. They're only using it to pick up certain flags, like face mask or roughing the passer or something of that nature, or defensive holding,
yeah.
like something of that nature or head-to-head contact, like where it's difficult to tell, what it was. They might throw the penalty anyway,
Mm,
but then at least they'll have some video evidence to look at quickly and make a decision. That's my problem with it, is the fact that it's being used one way only, and not
mm,
listen, Jim, we complained mightily about the Joe Burrow face mask in the playoffs, about
yeah,
how you
yeah.
if you're the official, you're literally standing 5 to 8 yards away from that play, clear view of the actual incident, and you said you didn't see it? When Joe Burrow's
Mhm.
neck gets cranked backwards so far that he's looking at you, uh, how? So, that's the problem,
Right.
is if they miss calls like that, guess what?
It doesn't matter
Replay
still. Yeah.
assist is not gonna bail them out, not gonna help the team out,
Right.
so
Right, and then John had said something like, again, so what do you do? So do the refs start throwing the flag now anyways, just if they do see it, but again, if they're just saying, "Oh, I didn't see it at all," like, "Okay,
mhm.
buddy, again, not see that," but especially when the guy's, like, seriously right
Yeah,
behind them
like,
or right
come on.
there. Um, but do they see him like, "Hey," even if they thought it might be throwing anyways, because if New York's got their back or whatever, it'll come out in the wash. So, well, there you go, you get picked up or whatever. But I'm thinking what you're thinking maybe too is that fact that we're just still going to see this season of a lot that are still just missed, and it really won't matter to an
Mhm,
extent.
mhm.
So, but back to the Hawkeye cam, Joe. Fill everybody in about the Hawkeye cam.
Yeah,
What's the
the
deal with
Hawkeye
that?
cam is gonna be really cool. Cool technology where it's going to dictate where the spot of the ball is on the football field. It's taking the place of the chain gang, if you will. However, the chain gang isn't going away completely. They are going to be still like backups. They're still going to be on the sidelines, but with this newfound technology, they're going to be able to pinpoint exactly where it reached, what yard line was it shy, was it ahead, was it on the yard line, and that way, when they place the spot of the ball, it's going to also automatically, is it short of line to gain? Is it a first down? Is it not? Especially for the very difficult plays that we see where it's a quarterback sneak or a running back going up the gut there, and he disappears. You can't really see him. You can't see the ball. Well, guess what? With this technology, they're going to know exactly where it reached. They're going to place the ball, and it's already going to be a first down or shy of the first down marker, but it's going to be more efficient. It's going to speed up that process and hopefully be way more accurate than the refs could ever be.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the thing is what happens when you see these mistakes happen in the playoffs. That's when you're seeing these rule changes happen or come into effect, and we clearly saw it in the playoffs last year a
Oh
few
yeah.
different times. And that's why even now with the overtime rules changing,
Mhm.
within the last couple of years, but now even now in this one, um, this year, the during the regular season now, they're going to have postseason overtime rules, minus the fact that it's going to be 10 minutes to
Well,
15
it's just
minutes
gonna
here. So you're
stay
going to have
10
10
minutes.
minutes.
So
Yeah, yeah, right.
regular
Yeah,
season
yeah.
has always
That
been
won't
10
change.
minutes. The playoffs
Right,
last year were 15. So
right.
they're just basically I'm okay with keeping the rules the same for playoffs and regular season for overtime. Like it makes sense to keep it the same because why would you have different
Yeah,
rules for overtime in the playoffs but not regular season? So I think they're getting it right in that
right.
aspect. But I I'm not in favor of giving both teams an opportunity to score. Like to me, like the whole point of overtime for me anyways, in my opinion, is to decide a winner, to
Mm,
end the game. Like the NFL is always
yeah,
about, "Oh, we can't
yeah.
have it go too long. We can't have it go into, 4.5 hours or 5 hours, like, long. We want it
Mhm.
as fast as possible." So, I think by giving them each team an opportunity in overtime, now you're just lengthening the game instead of whoever scores first wins the game. That's how I grew up. It was like a
Yep.
field goal or it was a touchdown, didn't matter. Whoever scored first
Mm.
wins.
Yeah, and it all it's weird because it the whole way, like you said, the overtime is to decide a
Mhm.
winner. It's you. The idea is during regulation you could not figure out a winner. So why do you want to extend it a full 10, 15 minutes? Let everybody have possession at least once or twice or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, because then you're playing a whole nother game again. Like where you see this happens in college basketball, high school basketball, even too. Regular basketball too. You're going to double, triple overtime. And it's like, well, it's because you're doing, a full period
Mhm.
again. It isn't just like, all right, you line up. Let's do it sort of like in hockey does. Let's do how they do the face-offs. Basketball, all right, get your best 5 free throw shooters or something like that, and shoot through a couple of free throws or 3 pointers, and there you go. The winner is the winner. Bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? Something like that. That might even liven up basketball at this point. I'm going to trademark that name
I
right
think
now, so don't steal my freaking idea, NBA.
I
There you go. I just helped your freaking
I
sport
think
out.
we should have a game of
But
horse.
a
There we go.
horse, yeah, yeah.
That's what it
There you
overtime
go.
should be.
Uh, but yeah, so I'm with you on that too, because again, and John had said, well, yeah, I think you should even do a full period quarter or something like that too. And I don't think that's a good idea because again, we've seen this play out, and I can't remember the date, but I think it was an Eagles game where they milked a
Yes.
whole 7 minutes in the period or something like that, or
Mhm.
quarter, to milk it all out and soak up all the time and then get the final score. So teams are just going to play that whole thing. So you're stretching out the deciding factor just to win again, and that makes no sense. The idea is you already passed your time. There's already scheduled shows to even to show up for some of these things, blah, 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 and this, that, and other game starts. Yeah, end the game. Just end the game. I want to see who
Yeah.
won, right?
Right.
Right, Joe? I think you even said something like that last night. Let's just see who wins. That's the whole point of overtime. Isn't just to get another quarter of
No.
football. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Are we then gonna rally and try and say, hey, there should be 4 quarters in football because there should, instead of having 4 of them, we should have 5. So then there's deciding, quarter. Like what the hell, bro?
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't get the whole fairness because the coin toss is a thing about, here you go. It's just about the luck of the
Mhm.
chance. What do you throw? Pick it while it's in the air, and then it drops on the ground. I don't catch it. I don't flip it. I do this other bullshit. It falls on the ground. You go all the heads, tails. There you go. You get it. Where you gonna receive? You get that choice. And I think that there you go. They leave it to chance, and that's the way it should be. Isn't say, well, the defense should always, have or the offense always needs to carry it. Like, come on, let's get real here.
Let's
Yeah, does
just get
everybody want a
real, everybody.
participation trophy in the NFL? Right?
Let's get real.
Oh man.
Jim, we gotta talk
All
about
right,
the tush
Joe.
push here. So I
Tush push,
got some
exactly.
new news that came out of owners'
New
meetings,
news. Okay.
and it's very interesting because we talked about it last night about how there was a 50-50 split. 16 and 16 votes were for and
Yeah.
against. It was dead, down the center, and they decided to table the conversation. But here's where it gets interesting. More information came out that Roger Goodell, in his final speech
Mm.
at the owners' meetings, hinted,
We're saying he's no longer going to be the
nope,
commissioner.
he
Oh.
hinted that I'm paraphrasing, but he basically hinted that, hey, if the proposal is worded differently, there's a very good chance that um, we might not ever see the tush push again. So I really think that Roger Goodell himself doesn't want this play anymore involved in the NFL. And if Roger Goodell doesn't want it as the lead commissioner, then most likely they're going to figure it out how to get rid of this play. So what's very interesting is you have that split between the league, and now Roger Goodell is going to move that needle just enough over to they need 8 votes to go in favor of getting rid of the play. To where I think Roger Goodell's gonna have some behind closed door conversations with owners that are kind of on the fence, but not sure, and he's gonna make them sway over to the other side to get rid of this play. It's very, very possible when the next owners meetings kick off in May, that's when they're gonna discuss this yet again, and I would not be surprised if this play does in fact get canceled.
Yeah, and what's funny is they keep asking other coaches. I think Sean McVay, Mike Tomlin have been
There's a
involved in
lot of
this,
them.
and
There's half the league
yeah,
is against it.
well, obviously half the league is, and all they have to say though is if it is deemed uh that it's a dangerous play
Mhm.
where injuries may occur, then they are down with getting
Yeah.
rid of it. But statistics have shown so far there have not been any
Oh, no, there's
injuries.
a lot of injuries. There's
No,
not
there's
there's
0
not,
recorded
um,
injuries on
there's
that
not
play.
major injuries, but there's a lot of minor injuries that
There's
have transpired with this
none have
play.
been recorded there. Currently, there are 0 injuries on that
100%.
play.
What do you mean? Super Bowl, there was an injury.
No, no, it
Chris
was never claimed
Jones
as an injury. He had maybe his neck was sore and he got a cramp. You're gonna call every
oh, he
cramp an
came out
injury?
literally right after
It's a
the
cramp.
play,
No,
and it
I get
tweaked his
that.
neck
I
to
know,
where he
but I'm
wasn't
just
able to
telling you
return.
real
There's other
statistics,
guys that
and
can
they're saying
attest to
0
this,
injuries have
that
happened.
in
0
those
injuries have
plays,
happened during that play.
they got banged up, so they left games and missed some time.
Yep.
Like,
People get banged up in every play.
no, not every
Well,
play.
I'm just
You
saying
can't get
right
banged up
now,
on every play, but that play in
pretty much
particular is
you
where
get banged
guys are
up.
getting
Everybody gets banged up
you're
after
getting
a
messed
game, you're
up.
banged up.
And
Yeah, but there
hell,
is no
Jason Kelce
recorded
can tell you
injuries.
himself by
That's what I'm
being
saying. They don't
involved in
have the
that play
data,
that it took a
right?
toll on his body, and he's involved in it.
Okay, I get that,
So,
but it's not recorded data. So they don't have statistics to prove
there's not
that
statistics.
injuries happen.
The statistics aren't
There
part
aren't
of this.
because that's what they have to
It's
have by to
injuries,
get rid of it. That's what I'm
and they
saying.
have it documented.
There are no recorded injuries.
To
There are
you, there
no
isn't.
injuries
To
currently
you,
in that
there
play.
isn't.
No, I'm telling you, I look on the NFL fucking
They're not gonna tell
thing and
you.
it says there's no. All right, dude. All right. And they're even telling you, even with how many times that play is actually run out of all the plays in the NFL, it's like 0.2% out of all. So they're going to change it all for one, 2 thousandths of a second or 2 tenths of a percentage of a play that has 0 injuries right now, which I get it. There could be an injury. I get that.
The injuries are
It
there.
could be.
They're not
A lot of
major,
injuries can happen in everything. I'm just telling you, right now, recorded, there is no injuries on that
but
play.
there is.
Uh, but they're not recorded any injuries on
That's
that play.
because they didn't miss time the next week. That's why it's not recorded on the injury
Well, there
report,
you go. So there you go.
but
But
they're
I'm
in the
saying it's
game.
not
It's
there.
happening in the game
Okay,
against
sure.
those plays.
Okay. All right. But if the wording is changed, that's what I guess they're going to have
And
to
it's
gear
gonna
towards
be
because that's
about
what everybody's kind
injuries.
of
I
voting
tell
on.
you this right now.
So, but how do you do it and where do you
It
prove it
can't
and how
be
do you do it?
it won't be about, "Oh, it's an unfair play."
So what's the wording? Yeah.
It's
So
gonna
what's
be
the wording
based
gonna
off of
be?
injuries,
Because
like, I'm telling you right
I
now.
don't think that. Well, I think the Green Bay Packers, when
Oh,
they listed the proposal, it was about it being a dangerous play.
also, the Packers as much as everyone's coming after the Packers for bringing this proposal forward,
Mhm,
for half
mhm.
the league anyway,
Right.
Roger Goodell had a conversation with the Packers because the Packers were not going to put this proposal in
Mhm.
originally. Goodell heard that the Packers had this kind of already started. Like, they didn't word it out completely, but they already were starting to think about putting this forth. And Roger Goodell contacted him, but like, hey, listen, since you guys already have the basis of this proposal already started, you guys might as well be the forefront of it. You guys might as well finish the proposal and submit it. So that's why the Packers, their name is attached to this proposal and not
Yeah, I heard
just
there was another
other
team
teams. Because we've
also
heard the
attached to it.
Detroit Lions were against this play. We've heard that the freaking I'm just going blank. But
Yeah.
there's several teams that were kind of all for getting rid of the play. Now, my problem with it is if it's about the execution of the play and how it has a high percentage of success for the Eagles, especially, and also you have the Bills that are utilizing it with Josh Allen in a sense that it can't be because of the execution of the play. It has to be either if it's unfair, like, because that's what the NFL used to do. Used to not be able to do this anyway. You couldn't push an offensive player with the
Yeah,
ball.
right.
Then they got rid of that years and years ago, and now it's kind of now we're in that scenario of, is it fair? Is it unfair? Is it dangerous? Is it not dangerous? So that's where the tipping point is right now.
Mm.
And honestly, like, I just I don't think they should get rid of it if it is in fact about execution. We've talked about this at nausea at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
But if it is seen as a dangerous play, which is pretty much half the league is viewing it as a dangerous play, then I don't know how they're gonna get somehow Roger Goodell himself, if he's gonna be talking to these owners and trying to convince them, we need 8 more votes, who's it gonna be to get this nullified?
Yeah. Mhm.
They would have to I think they're gonna change the wording, not just I still think it's gonna be part of the conversation as far as danger to the players, whether you're in the play or against the play,
Mhm.
but I also think it's gonna be more about, um, how it used to be unfair to do this, and now we're allowing it. I think it's gonna stem back from years ago to where they're like, "Well, we didn't have it way back in the day, and now we're allowing it. Maybe we get rid of it again."
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think the narrative is probably best for them to try and use injuries as the main component to outlaw it or whatever because that's what they're gearing towards. That's where the microscope is always on for the NFL. Let's make it safer.
Safety,
Let's
yeah.
do this. Let's do that. So
But
that's
I
where I think they're just going to try to attack, at least at one point. If they need to dig up like some kind of um spinal surgeons, whatever that say, people are look at it and say, hey, when these guys do that, the offensive linemen, they're going low. The risk for this is high, or this and that, and blah blah blah, or that motion when it happens, it puts this much pressure down on that, blah blah blah. Who knows? But as far as formations, things like that, um, it being unfair, I don't know if that would be a way or an angle that they go at it
no, you
because
can't go
we've
that
heard
way. You
we've
can't go
heard
that way.
yeah, defensive people complain about it or say, oh, you
You
can't
can't
because we can't do this
if
and blah
it's
blah.
a if
Uh,
that's their
and
argument in
that's
fairness, they won't
that's
win.
weaker. Yeah, that's weaker. So if they because that's their narrative right now is let's make the game safer. So that would have to be their trajectory, I think, for them to
And
do.
that's probably what it's gonna end up being in order for them to get those votes.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
that was part of it in this discussion, but I
yeah,
don't think they worded the proposal correctly.
yeah.
So that's why it kinda went to a 50-50 split, and now we're pushing it down the road, kicking the
Right.
can down the road to May. when they
Right.
reconvene owners meetings.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. All
They
right.
also
So
tabled Detroit Lions. They tabled their proposal on getting rid of the automatic first down against defensive holding penalties and
it's
face
tabled or rejected.
tabled. They're going to be reconvening on that in May as well.
Oh, that's good. I mean, because I think they should definitely look into that because I thought that was rejected. That would be good if it was tabled because I think you and I have talked about it a bunch of different times, like talking
Oh
about
no, my bad. No,
yeah.
my bad. That's right. That did not get approved.
Right. Yeah, I
That
thought
one.
so. I thought that
I'm
was
thinking
rejected.
about the Detroit Lions. Their other proposal was to make playoff seeding based on regular season records
Yeah.
as the guiding principle rather
See,
than division championships.
see, that's where I disagree on that too. I don't think that should be tabled at all. I think that's rejection. Like I think it's stupid. But
I I got there's an argument for and against this.
no, I get
I
it.
mean, honestly, how many times we've seen it throughout the history where a team that was 7-9 won the division, they get to go to the playoffs, they get embarrassed in round 1, but there was in a different division, there was a team that had 10 or 11 wins and were seen as more of the competitive team, but just didn't make it because of that. So I can see it for and against on both sides. I can see keeping it the traditional way. You win your division, you get a playoff seed, at the next um, tournament, and you go from there. But then I could also see competition factor that if you have a better record, you do deserve a shot in the playoffs. I could see it
Well,
both ways.
do you know if it is like, say you got your division winners, they're obviously thrown into the playoffs. Is that it? They're automatically in there. Um, and then you reseed, or is it going to be whether you won your division or not? The top teams
The
will go
division
against
winner is not going to matter
gonna
anymore.
matter.
It's
See, I
going to
don't
be
like that.
based on
See,
record.
I think that it should be if you're gonna do that, I think you've got to have the division winners in the playoff. But if you want to reseed them, depending on what their records are afterwards, then you could do that, which I would be aboard with that because that's the one complaint that these guys usually have is that a division winner, they'll get like a home field advantage because they won their division or whatever. And if you're a wild card in there, you don't, you obviously don't. You might have a better record,
True.
but you
That's
don't,
just,
but you have
I
a better
mean,
record. So a lot of these teams with better records feel like, well, why should they have the home field advantage? They just beat their division, but they have a worse record. So I feel like if they're going to keep division winners in there and then reseed it afterwards to where division winners don't automatically get a home field, game, then that would make sense to me.
yeah, I don't see that happening. It's really going to be the
I
whole
think it would be
proposal
stupid
is to
if they do
base
it
it
that
off
way.
of your
What's the
record.
point?
So the best records get into the playoffs. Basically, is how the proposal's set. So it doesn't matter if you win the division. The better teams that have the better record, or at least they're considered better teams, but the the teams with the better records are going
They
to
might
be
as
in the
well get
playoffs.
rid of divisions then. Again,
You
maybe
can't
they
get rid of
will.
divisions
Why?
because that's how you create your schedule. That's how you
'Cause
create your
you
because you're always going to play in your division and play
but you don't
those
have to
two
though.
teams
They can
two
change that
times
rule.
a season.
They can change that rule because all that does is just change. You might play when you do that. You play your division twice, and then two other divisions. Once. One of those teams one time. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And then they change it up.
Right.
You can get rid of the divisions, get rid of the two teams, and just go add those other games. One more game of with another division, and have a single game with another division. So make three
But
different divisions,
if you
and then
don't
you're
have
in.
divisions, then now you're just randomly creating a
Screen.
schedule.
Yeah, right. Why can't you just have a random schedule?
Just doesn't make sense. How
Why
do
that
you
doesn't
figure
make
out a
sense?
schedule? Because
That where you have 32 teams, you can make a schedule of 32 teams and
you
have everybody
lose
play somebody different.
rivalries that way.
Well, then
Because if
what's
you're
the
gonna
point?
do
Oh my
a
god,
random
really?
schedule, you're gonna do away with a lot of the rivalries that
No,
divisions created.
you might create new ones. You know what I
No,
mean?
because it'll
Yeah,
be so spread out then. You're not gonna see the
you don't
same
need
team as
divisional
often.
rivals then, because again, what does it really mean matter for some people? You know what I
What do
mean?
you mean?
I Divisions rivalries don't even mean a lot to some people even at this
Yes,
point.
they do.
Especially new fans out there, they could care less. They don't even follow teams; they
They
follow
are brought
players.
up on rivalries.
No, not everybody.
Yeah,
You and I have.
100%.
You and I have.
You're taught
But no,
if you're an Eagles fan, you're taught to hate the
no,
Giants and
no,
hate the Cowboys. Like, that's a rivalry.
not the way it is now.
Bases feed off of that rivalry. If you get rid of that little trash talk and rivalries and everything, and now you start to spread it out to where it's just so much more open, those rivalries die, and there's not that little extra oomph to that matchup.
So which is it? Which is your argument? The fact that you can't make a schedule around not having divisions, or is that you want to don't want to lose the rivalries?
It's exactly that. You don't wanna lose those rivalries. That's what
Well,
creates
it's
the big traditions, the the big storylines between teams. Like,
for
you
a
can't
week,
get
maybe.
Huh?
For a week, maybe or so.
A week?
Yeah,
What? No
yeah,
way.
yeah,
No way.
yeah. It does. You
No,
think? All right, all right. Well, say Eagles Cowboys rivalry. Do you think people are still talking about that even right now? Maybe when they play or something. Okay, that's one thing, but it's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
even
Michigan
in the
and Ohio
offseason,
State
people
have,
give each
their
other
one
shit.
big game, but who cares after that? It's about who wins the championship afterwards. So it don't matter. So if you're getting rid of
No.
the
Those
whole
rivalries
seating
are
and the
they're
division
deep.
champion can go there,
It
then
doesn't matter off season, during the season, the
well, you
rivalry's
still
still
have the
there.
history there that's been there. And there's reason why there's rivalries. It ain't just because you were in the same division. The Giants and the Cowboys weren't
Yes,
always
it
in the
is.
same division. These divisions weren't always these same divisions. These divisions have moved a few times.
Not that often though. That's why you get
But
these
and there's
rivalries when
still
you have
rivalries
to
here
face
that was from other
a
ones.
team 2 times a year that you become familiar with, then the fan bases, they create that rivalry, especially if it's close. That's where it all stems from. And
And
then that
the
rivalry lives on, it's like,
I get
to
that, but
me,
that's not
to this
existing
day, I will
anymore.
tell you this, to this day, the 49ers and Raiders fan bases hate each other because of the rivalry that they had in Candlestick. And we're
Perhaps
not even in the
some,
same division, but it's there.
but to the younger audience, the new fans, they don't care. They do not
They're
care about
brought up in
rivalries.
it,
No, they're
though.
not. No, they're
Yes,
not.
they are.
You have fans,
Yes, they
especially
are.
casual
I
fans
was
that
brought
are.
up in it when I grew
You
up.
are. You're older, Joe. I'm talking about
Every
younger
fan
guys.
base, if you're if
You talk
you're
to a
I
21-year-old kid that watches football and stuff. You think he hates his other team or blah blah blah. He's
yeah,
following Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and blah
yeah.
blah, whatever his fantasy football team's doing.
I see it from
He doesn't care
12-year-olds
about
that
the teams.
now are Chief fans. They see my Raiders sweatshirt, like, "Oh, Raiders suck, blah, blah, blah." That's
They
that
just
rivalry.
it's not because they're brought up that way. It is that we're taught that just because now they
100% they are.
decided to become a front runner Chiefs fan until they changed with whatever team goes after that.
100% they are. Like,
No,
that rivalry's there. That's crazy. You
I
think
don't
it
think
would
so.
die because if you got rid of divisions, is that what you're saying?
No, you're saying it would die if you got rid of divisions. That's what you just said. You
Because
said
you're
if you get
spreading it
rid of
out,
divisions, you would get rid of the rivalry, which I said no, you
right?
won't.
Because
You can
here's the
still have
thing.
it there, but
When you
it's
do
not a major
scheduling,
problem.
the
Why
reason
you
why you
shouldn't get
do the
rid of them?
scheduling the way it is now is because in the division,
Yeah.
you have to face that team 2 times in
So
the
what? What if
season.
you played them once? Then you got the one thing that you got one game over them. Ohio State, Michigan. You got one game a year. Whoever takes that one takes the crown for the year. It's the biggest game for them.
That's college football. That's a different format. That's a
Oh my
conference
gosh, Joe.
format.
It's a rivalry right there, but they put it down to one game. And
Yeah.
it's
No,
all
I
in that
get
one
that.
game.
I
So
get that.
you're saying because if I take away 2 games that the rivalry's not there, they all of a sudden that game doesn't matter as much anymore?
No, because the scheduling is gonna be more spread out. You're not gonna be facing those teams that often.
You could still play them every year to keep those rivalry teams those teams that are your rivals can be on the season, like your season every single year on the schedule. That's what I'm saying. You can still keep them there, even though the division's not there. You can keep that divisional rivalry there and have it
That
be
is the
one
whole
game.
point of those divisions, though. That's why you face them 2 times. Now, if you only face a team 1 time and you're not gonna face them nearly as often, and hell, there's gonna be seasons where you don't face like, if the Raiders don't face the Denver Broncos at all one
Oh,
season
I'm saying
because of
you make
how
it that
open
way
that
though.
schedule is going to be.
Mm.
that's going to lessen
Is
that rivalry.
is there
It's
is
going to
there
die over time.
no, 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 no,
Yeah, that
no, it
competition
won't.
factor goes away
No, it doesn't.
because you don't face them twice
Because they're
because
gonna
the
put it
division.
in the schedule, Joe. They're gonna
What's
put it
that?
in the schedule. They're gonna put it in the schedule because they put games. How do you think they do schedules now? And where do they put it on prime time and all this other stuff? They want to see
Mhm.
most of the time they try and do it where they put games that people want to see in prime time or whatever. This matchup, if they don't, they flex it out. If you put the game on one game, lay it on the line, and 1 year it's this person's stadium, next year it's the other one's stadium, you have bragging rights that year, and then the year following it, it's rematch. That sells. People go for that. They're not going to miss out because you're not doing, well, we'll get you next week then, maybe. Are you freaking kidding me? It's going to make the rivalry even better because you got to wait the whole nother year for bout number
No,
2,
because
3, 4.
the way that schedule is going to work, it's
No,
not. You're not going to be
it
facing them
doesn't
every
have
single
to.
season.
You can
You're
make them
not going
face
to
each other.
though.
You can. They
You're
do it
not going to.
now. They do it now twice, Joe. How can you
They
not
do it
go
twice
twice
because of
and then do it
division.
once? Oh my
That's
God.
why they do it. They do
Yeah,
it
but
because
you
of
can still
division.
do
That's
it
why
and
you
put,
face them 2 times
but you
every
can
year.
still put them once every single year and
You
still
can
have
put
other
them
teams
once.
scrambled. And you can
Yeah,
have
it's
them
not gonna be it's
scrambled.
not gonna feel
Oh,
the
well,
same.
no, it's not the fair. It's not gonna feel. It's gonna be better
It's not gonna be that
because it's
much of a
one
rivalry to me.
game. Well, then maybe that's your opinion, but I'm telling you, what does it do? That's what I'm telling you. Get Mike Tackett out here in the comments. What does Michigan, Ohio State do for that and that rivalry? Because it's one game every year and it's a different location every
And you
year.
wanna know why
Why?
that game counts so much is
Why?
because typically those 2 teams who, depending on who wins, goes farther in the playoffs.
Not
It
exactly.
has
No,
something it
no,
has
no, it
something
doesn't.
that means
Not
something
always.
there
There's times when
because
no, because Michigan didn't even play them when they're even
the
a shit team
loser
and it didn't
of the
even matter.
conference gets drastically dropped from the rankings. It
No.
means so much more for that game. That's why the rivalry is there for college
All right.
football.
What about Michigan, Michigan State?
That's an interstate rivalry.
Right. That's still a big game. Yeah, it's not depending on who gets pushed down further in the the seating and all this other
No, but
shit you're talking about.
that's more of a pride of the area
But
type
it's
of
still a
rivalry.
big rivalry though amongst the fans that never gets lost, like you're saying.
Yeah, because they play each other all the time.
Only once.
Yeah, but that rivalry got created because of the interstate
Right. Right.
wanting to win
Okay.
that game,
Mhm.
that pride that both teams have.
I get it. Oh, I get that, but I'm just saying that I
College
don't think
football is way different than what the NFL is right
to
now.
an extent, but this
Yes,
is what they're
because you
trying to
have
make it. They're
conferences. You
trying to
don't
make it
have
like college
divisions.
football though.
What's that?
They're trying to make it like college football.
I hope not.
That's what they're doing with every
How?
little move. You guys keep even trying to say, "We'll bring up the college football overtime rules, bring up the college football touchbacks. Let's bring in, this rule that's in college, with the referees. They have this. Hey, let's not go off of divisions. Let's go off of records, and who has the better records get up in this seating. Pretty soon we're gonna have a committee that chooses the playoffs and stuff in the NFL. You know what I mean?
No,
What
no,
else are
we're
we
not. Now
doing?
you're going too far.
No,
Now you're going
the
way too
NFL's
far.
ain't going too far. I'm not going crazy because
Yeah,
it's
you are.
all no,
Yeah,
because
you
it's
are.
all
That
been
makes
doing
no
that.
sense.
Well, it's a lot of this shit don't make sense, and they're changing it. Look at the dynamic kick, Joe. Does that shit make sense?
No, they should keep it
Well,
back
there
to
you
the
go.
traditional way of kickoff.
There you go. I'm just
But
saying.
you're talking
I'm
about
not the
doing
crazy
exactly what
person
college football
coming
is.
up with
Well,
this shit.
it's
I'm
not
not a
going to
crazy
be there.
person. No, who knows? I'm not saying
Oh,
this year,
100%.
not
They're
next
not
year. I'm
going
not even
college
saying 10
football.
years from now. I'm telling you.
Guarantee it won't.
Well, I'm not saying guaranteed it is. But the way they trend with some of the things they're doing, I wouldn't be surprised. And this is a part of it.
If that's the
Which
case, then they
change it
would
all in
adopt
seating.
everything college football, and they don't.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows?
Nah.
They're open to a lot of things. Look at them. They're like, oh, let's see what happens in the USFL. If they like it, that works there. Well, maybe we'll try it over here. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm against it. I don't think it's right, but only if you keep the division winner in there and then you reseed. That's the only way where it makes sense. Because that way you reward the division winner still, and then they don't get the home field at a home game because they didn't win enough games. So you get the little bit of a punishment because They can't play at home because they don't have a good record, but they're in the playoffs because they beat their division, where they had to beat those teams. It could be tougher teams. So these other divisions that are tough, to where they got to slug it out. So these teams aren't going to have great records because they have to play elite teams twice a piece. You shouldn't penalize them and get them out of playoffs because they're good teams. You know what I'm saying?
Teams? No.
It's some of these teams in the division sometimes, because when they have to play other good teams in the division, say they lose twice to another or one another, they split. That's a difference. And you shouldn't diminish what they've done in the division by kicking them out of the playoffs and out of the postseason.
If they win
put
it,
them in the playoffs.
second.
If they win the division,
so
they're in.
So what? Here's what I'm trying to get. So you're saying if they win the division, and let's just say they're 500,
they can't be 500, Joe. So let's
I'm
say
just
they're.
saying. I'm just saying.
You can't be though.
Okay,
So let's say
whatever the fucking
6 and
1
11?
game difference is.
6 and
They have
11?
1 game winning in the column or 1
8,
game losing
Yeah.
extra.
So 8 and 9.
You
8
think
and
that
9.
they deserve to be in the playoffs, even though they ended up with
the 8 and 9? That's what
8
some of
and
these wild
9.
cards are.
And then, but you might also have a team that has 11 wins or 12 wins in a different division that didn't win the division, but man, should they be in over that team that technically won the division with a weaker schedule and a weaker record?
No, they didn't win the division.
No, they did.
What other team? No, what team? The one with a better record?
The one with the weaker record won their division. The one with a better record that happened to be second in their division, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs over the team that didn't have that great of a record?
They will. They'll be a wild card. They'll be a wild card team.
No, I'm saying they might not make it. They might not get in.
Well, depending on what the record is, yeah, maybe not. But we didn't see that. We don't see that. We see like third seed. We don't see like second place teams in the division not make the wild card. Are you kidding me?
It's happened.
No. When?
Yeah.
When? Not last year.
It's definitely happened.
The year before. No.
I remember distinctly it happened.
Okay. But I'm just saying, if the division winner should be in it, and then you reseed after that. If they didn't make it, well, win your division next year. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I just think I think we.
I see it go. I could definitely see it go both ways.
Well, we'll see. Well, there we go. Well, I guess we'll find out in May, right? When they tabled it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Was there any other ones here? We talked about a few of them here, but
I mean, I think those were all the.
That's pretty much all the regular ones.
The other ones are a lot. There's a lot of minor proposals that got passed.
Yeah. We don't need to care about the finger gestures and all that stuff. So, all right. Well, then let's just end it right there. Here. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you guys like the last bit of the video too, especially when Joe and I disagree. So it's always good when that happens.
Well, that's the thing is we disagreed,
yeah.
but I was
still
saying
friends after. It's all good.
That you can listen.
No,
I was saying that you can be for and against it at the same time. I get it on both sides. It makes sense because how many times there's been that argument where like, Jesus, this team didn't make it, but man, they were better than that team, even though that team won the division, but they had a weaker record, but they got in.
Yeah.
But my team, let's just say the Cincinnati Bengals, let's say my team, they had a better record. They were better than that team that got in. They deserve to be in, not that team. Like that's where the mindset is for that. And I get it.
Right.
I get it. You want to see the best of the best teams in the playoffs because I feel like that's what it should be.
Right.
But it doesn't always happen like that in the current format that they have.
Right.
So I think that's why this got tabled is because like the tush push, they're probably split on this one too. So it's going to be interesting I hope that we get some more details in May of the conversations that were had and how they viewed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think this is the type of thing that they're kind of like, because if it was the type of thing where they're like, this is preposterous. We're not even gonna we're gonna vote this down. We're not even gonna talk about this. This is ridiculous that we even brought it up. If that was the case, they wouldn't be tabling it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a legitimate conversation for and against it. You're going to have
Oh
the
yeah. Some people are
traditionalists.
going to complain. The guys that didn't make it complain about it.
You're
So
going to have the
yeah.
traditionalists say, no, leave it the way it is. And then you're going to also have the other guys saying, well, you know, we think that it should be best of the best no matter what. So I'm curious that no matter how it gets decided, what the guidelines is for divisions then, because divisions aren't going away. It's how are they going to justify it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 All right, Joe, bring us out. Tell everybody where they can get more shows just like ours.
Real easy. If you lasted this long, I'll pray for you.
My voice is gone
But
again.
um, head over to YouTube for us. Hit that subscribe button. It's real simple. Doesn't cost a damn thing, and it helps us out. It helps our channel out. Helps us get more noticed. Moves up the draft board, if you will, and we might even we might become the first pick. We're striving to do better. We're striving to be your first round pick. So draft is right around the corner. Keep tuning in every week. We're going to do another top 10 next week.
We're gonna start
Don't know what
doubling them
that
up.
is.
We're going two. We got to
We're going to
double
do
them up
two.
because we're running out of time, probably, right?
But we did the one tonight, so we don't
Yeah.
have to double up.
We don't have to do. All right, good. All right, good. All right, then.
But if you want to double up, say so in the comments. Let
Yeah,
us know what
perhaps.
positions we've covered: offensive line, linebackers,
Yep.
wide receivers now.
Right.
So
Next week, we're going to go back over the 2022 draft first round, and we're going to do our make or breaks here. See who's a boomer or a bust. All right.
that's right. Boomer
All right, that's
bust
it.
or
There's something like that.
still can't trust.
We'll figure still can't trust. There you go. All right.
That's what
So
we're gonna
thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for putting up my voice. Hopefully next week I'll be a lot